Good morning, it's Betty, and I'm cooking on Fun Rich today, and we are going to make a meatloaf. A meatloaf is not that hard, it's easy. A lot of seniors love meatloaf, and some young people. But I'm going to show you how to make a meatloaf, and it's real easy. I already have all my ingredients out, so grab a pencil, or you can just come back to this video and write it down. But in this bowl, I have 3.5 pounds of ground beef. I have, of course, my Lowry seasoning salt. I have black pepper. I'm gonna also add a little accent because what accent does is it brings out the flavor of your food. I'm also gonna add a package of Lipton onion soup. That's going to give it extra flavor. Now I've already got my salt and pepper, my salt, my Lowry salt, my black pepper, my accent. I have it already all mixed up in here. And then I'm gonna add a can of tomato sauce. And this is something that's really good in your in your meatloaf. It's some chili sauce. I'm gonna put a little bit of that in there. That's gonna give it more flavor. All right, and then I've already crumbled up my crackers. So the crackers are going to kind of like make my base in the meatloaf so it won't be all sloppy and running all over the place. That's gonna be my filler. I've already chopped up my onion and my green pepper. I have about a cup of that combined together. And I've also beaten up 2 eggs. So now we're really ready to start the meatloaf. I've already preheated my oven to 400. I always say 450 when I know it's 400. And then I'm going to put in this loaf pan. If it's too much, then I'll put some in a casserole dish, okay? So, oh, and I forgot. I got to add 1/4 cup of milk. 1/4 cup of milk. So, give me a minute to get my milk. The best way not to forget anything is to put all your stuff out before you start. And that's what I tried to do. I'm going to just put more in there. So if you put all your ingredients out before you start, then you won't forget anything, okay? So now, I'm going to kind of like break my meat up. I had a lady tell me that we can't really see what you're doing. Well, yeah. That's probably true. It's kind of hard because I don't have the correct space. So let me just kind of get up here a little bit. And then I'll try to show you the steps that I'm doing. So I'm taking my ground beef and I'm breaking it apart so that when I get ready to add my ingredients, there we go. You just do it like that. Just finally break it apart. Because, you know, it comes in a square. So we're going to just break it up a little bit. All right? So now I'm going to add my seasonings. I'm going to sprinkle it over all my meat, like such. And that's not too much. I don't want my meatloaf to be salty. Then to that, I'm going to add my crackers. And I'm going to add my peppers. I'm just going to add everything in the meatloaf. Just, you know, my motto is dump, 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 you know. The quicker you can get it all in, the faster you can mix it up. And I can tell right now this is going to be a lot of meatloaf. I got this other little secret ingredients that I like. This is called rosemary, garlic, roasted garlic, rosemary, and sea salt. You know, I find all these little things at TJ Maxx and Ross's and the home goods store. Remember, I told you, if you go in there and you check in their household section, you'll find some great seasonings. So let's just put a little bit of that in there. These are gourmet seasonings. Okay. So, gonna add my tomato sauce. This is a 8-ounce can of tomato sauce. Just dump it right in. Put in a little bit of my chili sauce. I learned this from one of my friends, and it makes it taste so awesome. I also put it in my chili. So I just dumped a little bit in there. And now my eggs, they're already beaten, but I'm gonna beat them a little bit more. Pour it in there. Everything that I need for my meatloaf is in here. I'm gonna take my hands and I'm gonna mix it up. And I'm not gonna add the milk yet. Well, let's just fold it over with my wooden spatula. I always use wooden tools so that I can protect my pots and my bowls and stuff. You know, they're expensive. So you don't want to scratch them all up. You want to be able to use them again. Some people put ketchup in theirs. But what we're doing is we're not going to add ketchup. We're using tomato sauce and the chili. Oh, and I forgot. Got to add my Lipton soup. It might be, you know, I didn't add a lot of salt because this might add a little bit more sodium to it. So we'll just put that in there. This is a pretty big meatloaf, so it can take all these ingredients. Okay. So now everything's in here. And I'm going to add the milk. I'm going to add a little at a time until I mix it up and get my meatloaf like I like it. Yep, take your hands because there's no other way to mix a meatloaf than with your hand. And I can tell you right now, this meatloaf is more than what I'm going to need for that pan. So I'm going to put some in a casserole dish. Well, actually, I probably would take some and put it in the freezer and have it for the next time. How about that? Because meatloaf made ahead, the flavor sets in. And that just makes it really good. Rinse my hand. If you notice, I always work close to the sink because I kind of like to want to dump everything right into the sink and be able to work in one spot. I try not to go all over the kitchen. So anyway, this meatloaf looks pretty good, but I think it might need a little bit more. Yeah. It needs a little bit more moisture. So I added some more of my chili sauce, and I'm gonna add a little bit more milk, not a lot. Okay. Then I'm gonna mix it up again. Just taking my hands and folding it over. Take your hands and fold it over. Take your hands and fold it over. And that's how you make a meatloaf. Now, wasn't that quick and easy? See, my goal cooking on Fun Ridge is to show you how to simplify your meals and make cooking look easy. Cooking does not have to be hard. It's only hard if you want it to be. So I got this little meatloaf pan. I'm gonna fill it. Some people like to form their own meatloaves, but I just put it in a meatloaf pan. Make it nice and tight, nice and tight. That looks good. But do you know I actually have enough meat in here to make another meatloaf? So, what we gotta do is that I'm gonna put another one in a casserole dish later, and I'm gonna make it and I'm gonna gift it to somebody. So here's my meatloaf. Rinse my hands. Put a little bit of my chili sauce on top. Make like a little S. Now, this meatloaf is oven ready. I'm gonna put it in the oven and it's gonna cook for maybe, let's see, that's a good pound. That's a nice pound and a half there. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put it in the oven and we're gonna cook it for about an hour or so. And I'll come back and I'll show you what it looks like. So here's your meatloaf. It was very easy. Once again, I used 3 pounds of ground beef. I used 1/4 cup of milk. I used 2 eggs. I used my onion and my pepper, my Lowry seasoning, and my accent, and I added some milk. That was so easy. Anybody could make a meatloaf. Hey, are you guys getting ready for Thanksgiving? Because if you're not, you better get out and start shopping because the things in the stores are getting pretty scarce. Okay, you like my apron? This is my signature, my hat. And I'm Betty, and I'm cooking on Farm Ridge. I'm not here to teach you how to cook, but I'm simply here to show you how I cook and make cooking seem simply easy. I'll be back. All right, it's Betty, and I'm back because I did have enough meat to make 2 meatloaves. So what I did is I showed you how to form your own loaf when you don't have a loaf pan. You just go right ahead and put in a pan and form your own meatloaf. So I decided to go ahead and make 2 so that my son could have 1 for his dinner and we wouldn't have to share ours. How about that? And so that's it. When they come out the oven, I'll be back, okay? Don't go anywhere. All right, it's Betty and I'm back and my meatloaf have cooked now about 45 minutes. Now what I'm gonna do, it's pretty, is that I'm gonna drain. I did cover it when I put it in the oven. And now we're gonna drain off some of this excess oily water. That's all it is. It's just from the meat. We're gonna drain that. Isn't that pretty? And then we're gonna set our meatloaf back in the oven so that it can finish browning. Now, that's beautiful. It's a nice loaf. It's moving around great in the pan. Look at that. Look at that meatloaf. Wait until it's all the way done. All right? So I just wanted you to see what you do when you take the cover off. You start your meatloaf with the cover, and then you take it off and let it finish browning. You drain off the extra fluid, or the extra juices, I should say. Not fluid, but the extra juices. And then you put it back in the oven, and I will be back to show you what the finished product looks like. We've done a great job today, and you can do this too. I'll be back. All right, it's Betty on Farm Ridge, and I'm back, and we're here for the conclusion of our meatloaf. It's gorgeous. It turned out perfect. Now we have a beautiful meatloaf that we can serve to our family for dinner. It didn't take long. It's absolutely gorgeous. Gorgeous. What do you think? So, you think you can make a meatloaf? It's ready to slice. Stayed good, true to form. And it is gorgeous. Gorgeous. Okay. All right, so this is Betty on Farm Ridge, and today's lesson have been meatloaf. I'm not a real big meatloaf lover, but today I'm gonna make some asparagus. I love asparagus to go with our meatloaf. Gonna make some asparagus and some potatoes. Have some French knots, dinner rolls, and that's gonna make a wonderful meal on Farm Ridge today. So whatever you do, make sure you do it easy, and make sure that you always know that cooking is fun. Cooking Made Simple by Betty. And I'm cooking on Farm Ridge. Bye-bye. You have a great day.